Alright, and welcome back to my Shining Force 2 walkthrough, specifically designed for speedruns. I am no worries. Now, depending on when you're watching this, the video might be a little bit out of order. This is not an accident. What I'm doing is skipping ahead to doing mostly the Snipes, and then we'll come back and fill in the Snipes later down the road, or rather the battles in between the Snipes. The reason for this is because the beginning portion of the game, basically up until you control Peter, those battles are a little bit harder to talk about. I mean, I will go back and I will talk about them, but as far as strategy-wise, there's not a whole lot to discuss outside of just experience allocation and paying attention to which enemies have and haven't moved yet to just optimize the way that those battles go. There's not a lot of trickery. So the battles that a lot of people tend to have problems with is just getting the Snipes down correct. So we're going to go ahead, do all of the Snipes in the game, come back and then fill in the rest of the battles that aren't Snipes. So the first section we're going to talk about here, we're going to do 3, and then we'll do another 3. These are all the battles basically up until Creeds. So there's 6 Snipes at this point up to Creeds. Now technically the battle right before this was a Snipe, but for the sake of argument we're not going to include it since we don't control Peter yet. So this is everything once we control Peter. So this is the very first battle we control Peter. This is the Polca fight. Now I've gone ahead and I've blocked out these areas in blue. These are all enemies that we don't have to worry about because we're not concerned with them. Our target is down here, the Master Mage. So this is kind of what our party looks like. Now your party might have a few more people in it. Basically I've eliminated anyone that we shouldn't have. The only real exception is we might have a Slade in here. And if we have Slade, you can see it kind of pushes Peter up this way. So for sake of argument, I'm going to say that we don't want to, or I guess technically it pushes him here. So like it doesn't really matter if we have Slade or not, but I don't have Slade at this point generally, so I'm going to go ahead and not count him. But like I said, it doesn't make a huge difference because Peter gets moved one spot. So the way that this battle works is it takes about 5 rounds. Peter will move approximately 6 spaces to here, and then he'll move another 6 spaces approximately to here, and then he'll move another 6 spaces to here, and then most likely he'll have to do another move to here, and then down here before he can kill the Master Mage. So it takes about 5 rounds. So like I said, all of these enemies in blue we're not going to need to worry about. Now these first 2 enemies here, we're going to kind of engage them on like the first turn. So our first turn's movement is going to look something like moving Kazin to here, moving Gorhal to here, just kind of moving Sarah down, kind of moving Jaha down. And then depending on when this Hobgoblin moves, this kind of depends on where we put these guys, because this Hobgoblin is pretty fast, so it should go before these guys. And then, so then the zombie will move over. And depending on, we might be able to get them to attack. Otherwise, not really. It's not really that big of a deal. The big thing here is that we want these 2 guys to be moving to the max that they can move every single time. Now, I guess I should note that Peter should have the speed ring, but he should not have it equipped yet. And Bowie should go ahead and have the power ring. You can definitely have that one equipped. So like this is kind of the first turn. We want to take out these 2 enemies here because they're going to get in our way. So kind of do that how you want. So we'll go ahead and just take them off the map here. So like that's kind of the first turn's movement. Second turn movement, we're just going to be clearing them off the board. Sarah should just basically be healing every turn. We're just going to continue to keep kind of moving down this way. Now this Death Archer is going to slowly be moving over, as well as this zombie. Now these enemies down here just kind of patrol back and forth like this. So just to note, we'll come back to them as we need them. The second round, this is the second round. Third round, basically, we're going to want to get ourselves set up on these stairs. So our setup is going to look something like this. Now this zombie will engage over, so it's kind of important that we can get Gorhalt here in front of Bowie. That way it'll just stop Bowie from getting attacked by the zombie. These stairs have no land effect value. So, I mean, he's not at any risk for dying, but the damage is going to hurt, as well as this Death Archer will be coming over. This Hobgoblin up here, like I said, we should not have to worry about him. So like these guys, at this point, these three fellows are going to try to keep these guys busy while we move Peter and Bowie down here. So this was the third turn. The fourth and fifth turn basically are going to involve moving down here, getting Peter boosted with the powering, and then moving Peter over and killing the Master Mage. Now, the reason why I say don't have the speed ring equipped is because generally what will happen is this Master Mage will be just a little bit out of range, which is why you can't do it on the fourth turn. So you could then move Peter over, equip the speed ring, and then he will likely go first at the beginning of the round, so he can just come down here and kill the Master Mage. It's a very quick battle. We don't have to boost, because if the powering cracks, we do have to go and repair it, but I say go ahead and do it because it makes for a really clean battle, and it can get really messy because these enemies in blue, we will have to worry about them at that point if we haven't defeated the Master Mage after 5 rounds. Now moving on, this is the next battle that we're going to need to go to. This is the Kraken fight. Now the reason we're going to go here as opposed to going to the desert is because we want to save at Hassan. The reason is we're going to use it as our aggress point. I'll talk about that at a later video, but we want to go down there so we can save as well as we get all of our weapons upgraded. So this is kind of an important battle. So I've set up with everyone that we could likely have, excluding May and Kiwi, because they are not important. Now, you can see where Peter starts, and you can see where Luke starts. So let's go ahead and take out some of the less important people. So like, let's take out Chester. So how does that shift things if Chester is dead? So like, that brings Jaha down here, that brings Kazan over here, that brings Slade over here, that brings Peter over here, that brings Geralt up there, and it brings Luke up here. So you can see now, if we have all these people, we have a pretty good setup, see, because Peter is really close to the Kraken. Now here's something that tends to happen often, and so let's go ahead, we're going to take Sarah off the board, and we'll go ahead and take, I guess for the sake of argument, we'll go ahead and take Kazan off the board. So what has happened now? So now we have Jaha's there, now Slade is here. This puts Peter over here, Geralt there, and puts Luke up here. So you can see how far away Peter is. The reason that I'm using this to illustrate is that between this guy Bowie and this guy Peter, we need 3 of these 5 people that I've grouped over here on the left side. Of them, we need at least 3 of them to be alive. By having at least 3 of them, it puts Peter's starting spot somewhere up here. And that's really important because it cuts the whole battle by a round. You can have 3, you can have 4. I wouldn't recommend having 5 because it kind of screws up with Luke's starting spot. But, you know, we're not going to be using Chester, so that's okay. So, how does this battle play out? Well, regardless of who you have, everyone is just going to be standing except for these 2. Peter should have the speed ring, again, not equipped. Luke should have the power ring, and everyone else is just going to stand. Now, I circled these 2 Kraken legs because these are the only ones that we have to worry about. As long as we don't move, we don't have to worry about this one. This one we do have to worry about because if we go anywhere it can touch, it will attack us. So it's important that we move Luke and Peter away from it, and then we set up something like this. Now the reason I say don't have this speed ring equipped on Peter yet is, well, if we can let the Kraken head move twice, you know, because Peter is not the fastest unit in the game and the Kraken head is kind of fast. If you wait to equip the speed ring until you actually start engaging, so the turn where Luke boosts Peter, and then you move over and equip the speed ring, it just gives us a chance to skip this Kraken head taking any turns. It cuts down on upwards of 20 to 30 seconds by doing it like that. And then we can take down the Kraken head. Now, you're probably wondering about Peter's attack. That's something that I'm going to cover again in another video. Right now, this is just the mechanics of walking through the battle. I just want to bring that up. So then the last one, because I'm running out of time here, is the last snipe for basically the pre-grind section. I've only put down the 2 people that we need to worry about because everyone else, regardless who we have, is just going to stand here. Now this blue line here indicates when all of these enemies start to move. So this battle is going to go pretty simple. Peter's going to move up to about here, Bowie's going to move up over here. These enemies will slowly creep, but we're not going to worry about them because this is as far as the arrow launcher will make it. This is as far as the golem will make it. The gargoyle will wander around, and this golem might attack us because basically what we're going to do then, this is the first turn. The second turn, Peter is going to move up to this spot exactly. It's 3 spaces from this spot that's kind of cut off by the map. We're going to put Bowie here. This way he can boost Peter. We put Bowie here because the golem will attack one of these guys. It'll likely attack Bowie, and by having him here, he gets a stronger defensive bonus. It just helps. Now, so like this is the second turn. The third turn, Peter's going to move up. It's exactly 6 spaces to stand in front of the arrow launcher. He will attack, and if Peter has over 50 attacks, he'll kill it. Otherwise, it might take 2 turns. If he doesn't kill it, it's not that big of a deal. None of these enemies are going to do anything until the next round because of this triggering lines. That's why we move right here. Like I said, none of these other people matter. We could move around, but there's really no point. We're just trying to get out of this battle as quickly as we can. So we do that, kill the arrow launcher, and on the third turn or the fourth turn, rinse, repeat. That's going to conclude it for these first 3 battles. Tune in next time for the next 3 snipes on our list. This has been No Worries. I'll see you guys next time.